Hey leaders, today I want to talk to you about the leadership tool of the hospitality model. Just as you think about our recipes in the business for a chicken sandwich or for our nuggets, we have a recipe that we have that makes sure that our food is perfect every time, that it's all right. Everything's perfect about it, not just like all right, just like bland. So the same thing with our hospitality. We have a recipe for success when it comes to our hospitality. That's called our hospitality model. And it's really based off of three components. First of all, it's our commitment to hospitality, which really is our first and second mile service. Well, what is first mile service? First mile service is this idea that really at the end of the day, we want to commit to what we call the core four. There are four simple principles that we want to start off first, is that we want to make eye contact with every single guest. We want to make sure that they know that we see them and that we acknowledge their presence. Next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we share a smile. A smile can make such a big difference in somebody's day. And so we want to just make sure that we are smiling at our guests, make sure that we know, or that they know that we are welcoming them. The third aspect of the core four is that we want to make sure that we speak with a friendly tone. We always want to make sure that we address our guests with a friendly tone and even learn to match their level of engagement with our level of engagement, right? And so if a guest comes in and they are really bubbly and having a great day, then we want to try to match that with a friendly, high energy tone. But sometimes if a guest comes in and you can tell that maybe they're in a hurry or they're not up for a lot of small talk, we also need to learn to manage a friendly tone that matches their level and not go so far over the top that they feel almost that we're a little intrusive, or maybe that we're a little bit over the top with them. And then the fourth aspect of core four is that we always want to make sure that we say my pleasure. Anytime that a guest responds with a thank you, our response should always be with a my pleasure. So that is our first mile service. That should be the expected service that we should provide for every single guest. We want to then follow it up with second mile service. And second mile service comes from actually a Bible verse in Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 41. And what it says is that really Jesus was telling his followers that if anyone asks you to go 1 mile, go a second mile. And during this time, during Roman rule, a individual, if they were asked by a Roman soldier to carry their luggage 1 mile, by law, they had to do that. And Jesus said, hey, don't just carry what was required by the law, but actually go above and beyond and carry it a second mile. And so that's the same thing we're thinking about here in our restaurant business, is that we want to be able to go the second mile, not just do the core four, but really be able to go above and beyond to serve our guests. And so these could be things like carrying food out to a table for guests with high needs. It could be checking in on guests in our dining rooms. It could be holding a door open for our guests, or grabbing a high chair for our guests. Maybe in our drive-through, it's running an order to a guest, or going back and grabbing something extra for a guest if they request it, right? All these things that we do above and beyond, or second mile service acts. And now the nice thing about that is, as a individual, you can determine what those second mile service behaviors are. And so a lot of times, the best second mile service behaviors that we demonstrate are the ones that are genuinely come from the heart, or things that you all think about that would really make a big difference in a guest's life. Now, the final aspect that we have of this hospitality model is really engaging to recover. We know that sometimes we miss the mark when we commit to hospitality, and we need to recover our guests. I won't go through all of it today, but this is really where we implement the herd model. So if you haven't listened to the leadership toolkit on the herd model, go back and listen to that. But that is our strategy on how we recover our guests whenever there's a situation that wasn't really to our standards. And then quickly, that is, we want to hear to understand. We want to empathize with the guests. We want to apologize for the service or for the mishap that happened. We want to make sure that we resolve the situation. And then finally, we want to make sure that we delight the guests to go above and beyond. So again, that is our hospitality model. Remember, it is a recipe for success. Just like we have a recipe for our food, this is our recipe for customer service. So again, I hope this is a great tool that you can use in your toolkit just to talk about how we provide hospitality at Chick-fil-A. Again, I appreciate all that y'all do for the business. Thank you all so much.